Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this episode, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland and Disneyland history with mementos, snapshots, and postcards sent from Disneyland from 1955 to the present. Today, I'm starting off by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join and receive mail from my desk or from my Disneyland trips. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the e-ticket patrons Tania, Eric Daniels, Joe Gamble, Scott Booker, Monica Seitz Vega, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Scott Cagle, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Grace Coate, Brian Crawford, Ben and Noel Bruning, Patty Wolin, Angela Reynolds, and Aaron Moran. B-ticket patrons Jeff and Paige Orton, and Joshua, and Inexorable Tosh Bell. And the A-ticket patrons, Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Maggie and Henry Byers, the Disney Rewind podcast, Angel DeBlock, and the All Aboard podcast. You can also sign up for my new newsletter for a chance to get some postcards delivered by the USPS to your mailbox. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has the horse-drawn streetcar being pulled down Main Street. In the back you can see the Matterhorn, and if you look closely behind some trees you can see the home of the future. On the back it reads, Horse-drawn streetcar. The leisurely pace of Disneyland's horse-drawn streetcar keynotes the atmosphere of Main Street as guests enjoy a trip around the plaza and a glimpse at the magnificent Matterhorn. It's postmarked October 5th, 1967, with the Los Angeles Build Your Future Wisely, Safely U.S. Savings Bond cancel, and a 5-cent blue George Washington postage stamp, Scott number 1283. I assumed I visited the park on Sunday, October 15th, 1967, when park hours were from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The weather was a high of 99 and a low of 57. It's addressed to a Mr. and Mrs. Wolfel of Greenwich, Connecticut. It reads, Having a nice time. Mother, Go-Go Girls. Before we get into the Disneyland history, if you want to listen to other cards sent by the Go-Go Girls, go back to episode 190, Sent from the Go-Go Girls. On a recent trip to the park, I visited the new Pixar Place Hotel. While inside the gift shop, I purchased some large gold coins with Pixar characters on the front and Pixar Place Hotel printed on the back. So this week I thought it'd be fun to examine some of the different Disneyland coins I've collected over the years. The oldest coin I have in my collection is a brass coin that measures just over 1.25 inches in diameter, with Walt Disney Productions printed at the top of the arch over Sleeping Beauty Castle. Below the castle it reads Disneyland in the classic Gothic font. On the reverse of the coin are images of the 5 lands of Disneyland: Frontierland, Fantasyland, Main Street, Adventureland, and Tomorrowland. Each section on the back of the coin has park icons. In the upper left quadrant is Frontierland, with a Mark Twain floating away from a stag. In the upper right quadrant is Fantasyland, decorated with 3 teacups, King Arthur's carousel, and a small representation of the castle. In the lower right is Tomorrowland, with a submarine, the monorail, and the Matterhorn. If you look closely, they even included a detail of the skyway going through the Matterhorn. The bottom left has a Jungle Cruise boat coming up on a charging hippo. In the center of the coin is a circle that represents Main Street, with the train pulling into Main Street Station and the floral Mickey. Also on this section of the coin is a distant Matterhorn mountain. I've seen other versions of this coin, and they include an additional section, keeping the center with Main Street and adding a 5th section to include New Orleans Square. Based on the choices made on the park icons, I can tell that this coin was made sometime after 1959 and before 1966. When I purchased it from an antique store, it included a plastic box with a clear lid and the blue Disneyland price tag. Unfortunately, the original price of the coin was removed. The next oldest coin in my collection was given out as a freebie at the park. This was for the 35 Years of Magic celebration at Disneyland. This purple coin is just over 1.5 inches in diameter, and on the front has stars surrounding a stylized version of the castle with the number 35 written in a cursive style typeface. Below it reads, Years of Magic, Disneyland, 1955 to 1990. On the back there are 3 character heads of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and it reads, To all who come to this happy place, welcome, Walt Disney, July 17, 1955. These lightweight aluminum coins were tossed out during the Party Gras parade down Main Street. The next coin in my collection is from after 2001, and it's still in its original packaging, and includes the price tag showing $6.50. It was sold in a 6-inch plastic sleeve, which included a card which has the original Disneyland Resort logo. The logo included a dark blue version of Sleeping Beauty Castle, with a yellow, gold, and brown depiction of Grizzly Peak from Disney's California Adventure, and the monorail looping around the entire image, and over the words, Disneyland Resort. The front of the 1.5-inch diameter coin is that same logo, and the back of the coin is simply Disneyland Resort, and a small copyright note. Great news! Enfield Post is back up on Etsy. Grabbing some vintage stamps is a great way to plus your mail, whether you're trying to match the color of your postcard or envelope, or adding a themed stamp to the back of your mail. Be sure to check out Enfield Post. You can head over to enfieldpost.com and explore all the different vintage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and enfieldpost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has 4 images of Disneyland. One of Sleeping Beauty Castle, the next of the Mark Twain Riverboat, another of a Jungle Cruise boat heading through the Hippo Pool, and finally the entrance of Tomorrowland. On the back it reads, 1. Sleeping Beauty Castle, 2. Mark Twain Steamboat, 3. Jungle Cruise, 4. Tomorrowland. It's postmarked July 18, 1972, with the U.S. Postal Service cancel, and a 6-cent National Park Centennial Wolf Trap Farm, Virginia postage stamp, Scott number 1452. I assume they visited the park on July 17, 1972, when park hours were from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. The weather was a high of 84 and a low of 64. It's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. William Thailing of Parma, Ohio. It reads, Hi neighbor, really enjoyed the scenery both in San Francisco and LA. The weather has been perfect. Hope Mr. Thailing is feeling okay. This is sure a beautiful country. There's so much to see. Teresa and the girls. The next oldest coin in my collection is from 2007. This is when Disney was celebrating the Year of a Million Dreams. The front of the coin is the top of Sleeping Beauty Castle, with Tinkerbell flying near the tallest spire. Around the castle, there are stylized cloud shapes and pixie dust. On the bottom is the year, 2007, and a small Disney copyright. On the back of the coin, there are more stylized clouds surrounding the words Disneyland Resort, where dreams come true. The coin is just over 1.5 inches in diameter, and is in what it seems to be its original packaging, a small plastic sleeve that folds in on itself. Looking at versions of the coin online, I found the opposite section of the plastic used to house small, square pieces of paper to promote either AAA or the Disney Travel Company. There's also a 2008 version of the coin made, with only the year changed on it. The next coin in my collection I received at the park as an annual pass holder perk. Back in 2014, I was at the park and they were handing out Osmo Innovention coins. Looking at some history on these coins, they were originally made for the D23 convention in 2013. Likely too many were made, and they were given out to annual pass holders in January of the next year. These bronze medallion measure around 1.5 inches and came in a hard plastic case that was slid into a plastic sleeve. The other side of the sleeve was a certificate of verification with the logos for the Disneyland Resort and Honda, the Power of Dreams. The front of the coin has a 3/4 bust design of Osmo, with its name above the image and Honda written below. On the back of the coin is the Disney Innoventions logo. The next coin in my collection I purchased. It came in a box set of Disneyland memorabilia and replica memorabilia. This coin is presented in a velvet box and a hard plastic case. The front of the coin reads Disneyland in the Gothic font and has the beginning of Walt Disney's opening day speech. The backside of the coin finishes the speech and puts the dedication date July 17, 1955. A card that came with the coin states that it is a limited mintage of 1200. The next coin in my collection was given to me by a Disneyland cast member who worked security for the park. This was a challenge coin made and designed by Disney veterans. The front of the coin has the classic 3-circle Mickey, and inside there are stars and stripes with the soldiers saluting. Around the coin it reads Disneyland Veterans. Thank you for your service. On the back are the 5 seals for the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard, with a gold star in the middle and the 3-circle silhouette Mickey in between each seal. One of the newer coins in my collection I purchased last year while visiting Club 33. It's displayed in a blue box with the Club 33 logo. On one side of the coin It reads Club 33, with the stylized 33 from the logo, surrounded by the stained glass work you can see from the Court of Angels. On the backside are two angels, leaning over the phrase, Court of Angels, written in French. This is the largest coin in my collection and measures around 2 inches in diameter. This incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is an online craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Be sure to check out Monday's ATD, which is usually hosted by paper artist Russ Romano. I've seen many amazing art projects, learned about awesome postmarks, postage stamp history, and a lot more on different episodes. It's great to stop in for an hour to watch someone craft or design something unique. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has Mary Blair concept art for Cinderella. This is a scene from early in the movie when Cinderella is doing chores around the house. It's postmarked January 27th, 2024, with an Orlando, Florida cancel and a 2024 Love Forever postage stamp, Scott number 5826. It reads, January 23rd, 2024. Hello from Disney World. Can't wait to see the Country Bears before they close for their reimagining. Hope you're well, Aaron. At ERNMRN. Thank you so much for the postcard, Aaron. Such perfect timing after of my recent episode about the Country Bear Jamboree postcards. I'm glad that I've been able to experience the Country Bear Jamboree at Disneyland and at Walt Disney World. I'm looking forward to the new reimagined attraction when it opens. I also hope that they make some new postcards featuring the Country Bears. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would be helpful to share your favorite episode to a friend or on social media. There are over 200 to choose from. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment on whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sent From Disneyland or on Twitter at Sent From Disney. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent From Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to its host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast.